Hey everyone, welcome to Turkish series stars. Settle in, because every beat of today's story comes straight from the whispers behind set doors and the murmurs echoing through backstage hallways. Before we dive in, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a second of the drama that has the entire fandom holding its breath. In the last few days, the talk of the town has zeroed in on none other than Barış Arduç and the radiant Elçin Sangu. The duo who once lit up screens with that effortless spark and who, in their private lives, prefer a quiet corner away from the noise, have found themselves thrust into a storm they never asked for. Word from insiders claims that Barış clashed with his agent over a sensitive topic, his love life. Not a scheduling conflict, not a contract issue, love. And according to those who swear they were within earshot, he raised his voice just enough to make his position unshakably clear. His heart is off limits to negotiation. The friction didn't come out of nowhere. Barış has been booked and busy, with high-profile scripts piling up, invitations arriving from abroad, brand deals floating across the table, every step guided by a strategy designed to push him higher. But the strategy, some say, had a clause he could no longer accept. His representative allegedly urged caution, warning that public attention on his relationship with Elçin could complicate campaign timelines and press plans. One nudge too many, one caution too sharp, and that's when the heat rose in the room. Barış, the consummate professional who also knows the rhythm of his own heart, drew a line. He didn't mince words, didn't sugarcoat. When a heart refuses to be managed like a calendar, you can hear it in the silence that follows. And that silence reportedly hung heavy after he spoke. People close to the circle say this tension didn't arrive as a hurricane, it gathered like clouds over time. You could feel it in the pauses around table reads, in the careful phrasing during calls, in the choreographed distance of assistants who knew too well when to retreat. Once the subject became his relationship with Elçin, however, the veil lifted. The agent, looking only at risk and reward, suggested easing the public visibility of their bond, especially with major announcements on the horizon. But when your partner is your calm, your compass, and your courage, how do you shrink that light to fit a press plan? If the whispers are true, Barış made it clear, he would never be cornered into choosing. Work is a pillar. Love is a pulse. Both make him who he is. That stance didn't mean he tossed professionalism out the window. Far from it. After the spark of confrontation, both sides reportedly sought a truce. The tone softened, the calendar resumed, the emails continued. But something had shifted, the old script wasn't going to be read the same way again. The bond between star and representative didn't snap, but it certainly stretched, and everyone could feel the pull. And where was Elçin in all this? In the calm eye of the storm. She didn't storm any office, didn't type out midnight statements, didn't fan the flames. What she did, sources say, was be there at precisely the right moments. Gentle words, steady gaze, a presence that says more than speeches ever could. Those who worked with her this week describe her as composed, luminous, and laser-focused on set. When a partner carries the weight of public scrutiny, the other often becomes the quiet sanctuary. And it seems that is exactly what she chose to be. If you've been following them for years, you know this is more than a headline, it's a familiar rhythm in an industry where feelings are often treated like props. Agents and actors lock horns all the time over narratives that look tidy on paper but messy in real life. The difference here is the intensity of the spotlight. Fans have filled timelines with collages, edits, old interviews, accidental glances caught by a camera lens. Every sliver of tenderness archived by an audience that believes what it sees. The online conversation is polarized, of course. Some cheer for love that refuses to shrink. Others, cautious or jaded, say, protect the brand. Eyes forward. In the middle are those who simply watch and wonder, remembering that fame always charges a fee. In the midst of all this, we hear the same consistent note from set, Barış hasn't missed a beat. Early call times. Crisp takes. A presence that anchors scenes even when the storyline swerves. It's the paradox of those cut from star cloth, you can be shaken and still be steady. Those who claim to know him well say that he's stopped trying to tuck his heart behind the scenes. If there's a hand to hold, he'll hold it. If there's a gaze to return, he'll return it. If there's a moment worth living, he won't let a risk table take it away. That defiance, calm, deliberate, unmistakable, has already earned epic status in fan lore and looks set to become one of the year's defining quotes, whether or not a microphone ever recorded it. And that brings us to the next chapter everyone is buzzing about, his roadmap. The rumor mill hums with talk of selectivity, of picking the kind of work that stretches his craft, not just his market metrics. Not only big budgets, but scripts with breath and bite. The kind of roles that demand you show up as a human first and a headline second. Those in the know say that when doubt creeps in and pressure tightens its grip, it's often Elçin's voice that steadies him. A simple reminder, sincere and disarming, be yourself, precisely and unapologetically. Their rhythm, at least from the outside, looks like a pact of equals, two artists who understand the game yet refuse to surrender what makes them both glow. Of course, every calm surface hides currents. This recent flare-up with his representative, they say, is just the visible tip of a longer negotiation. As his star power leapt across borders and brands, more pieces entered the chessboard: image teams, attorneys, international collaborators, corporate partners. When so many hands hold the pen to write your next move, your heart can feel like it's being filed, stamped, and laminated. It's in that microclimate that friction grows. Yet those closest to the conversation insist that he's come to a simple conclusion: he will not be a stranger to himself. He exists in full view, on set, on stage, and off, without needing to split his life into sealed compartments. Naturally, this has placed their relationship under a magnifying glass. Every red carpet glance, every backstage laugh, every casual outing is dissected with forensic patience. But something else is being noticed too. Observers and fans alike keep saying the same thing: there's a steadiness about them. A natural ease. Nothing forced, nothing theatrical for the flash of a lens. Some even claim that since their bond entered this new phase, there's a maturity around him that's hard to miss, a grounded energy that's less about spectacle and more about truth. With every public moment that feels unperformed, the chorus grows: this isn't a passing spark, this is a flame that knows how to breathe. Meanwhile, the ripple effects of that private confrontation are being felt within his inner circle. The chatter is that he's turned back toward people who have known him the longest, the ones who can remind him of choices made for passion, not pressure. Old friends. Trusted collaborators. Nights that run long not with noise, but with real talk. And somewhere in those quieter hours, another confession reportedly found its way to Elçin. That endless advice can feel like static if no one stops to ask what your heart is carrying. In response, she didn't push, didn't demand, didn't dramatize. She listened. She became the harbor. On her side, the focus never wavered. Long days, demanding scenes, the kind of discipline that makes a crew quietly grateful. Those on set say she has an instinctive read for the energy of a room, when to lift it, when to level it, when to slip into the next scene with a grace that recalibrates the air. She senses the pressure he faces, but they aren't playing hide-and-seek with the world. They show up as themselves, and let everyone else decide what story to tell. Then came the interpretation that turned a personal stance into a broader message. People are saying that what surfaced in that office wasn't just an argument with an agent, it was a challenge to an entire unwritten rule. The idea that actors should function like perfect machines, turning their hearts off when the camera stops rolling. If that's the rule, then his refusal became a manifesto, and young fans especially seem to have taken it to heart. Across the timelines, notes poured in: courage, love, respect. Not sappy, not naive, just grateful that someone with so much to lose chose to keep the most human part of himself intact. And yet, in the glow of that support, the scrutiny hasn't let up. Column inches and commentary keep circling back to the saga of their connection, the first spark that everyone remembers, the pauses that came with life's inevitable complications, the quiet revivals that never needed press releases, only a look that said, "We're here." It's a story told and retold in whispers, edits, and knowing smiles, the kind that doesn't require a script to feel true. All of this leaves the industry on alert. Some hail his clarity as the kind of spine that inspires better, braver art. Others, more skeptical, watch the numbers and wonder how the next campaign will cadence. But the people who stand where the work happens, directors, crews, colleagues, see what matters most: long days that end with honest performances and a heart that hasn't gone numb. So where do we go from here? If the hum behind the scenes is accurate, we can expect choices that prioritize depth over dazzle. Roles that ask for vulnerability as much as charisma. Campaigns that say yes to authenticity and no to fear. And, woven through all of it, a relationship that seems determined to grow without apology. Not as a brand, not as a strategy, but as two people who keep showing up for each other even when the spotlight feels like a searchlight. As for an official statement, don't hold your breath. Those who know them will tell you that silence can be eloquent when actions speak clearly enough. No grand speech, no open letters, no staged handholding. Just two artists doing the work, and refusing to shrink their hearts to fit a slide deck. If you're still with us, you can probably feel it too, that subtle shift when a rumor becomes a revelation of character. Whatever was said in that office, whatever tension flickered and faded, it left a mark that won't easily be sanded down. It reminded everyone watching that at the center of fame's carnival, there are still beating hearts making impossible choices in imperfect rooms. And right now, it looks like the choice that matters most has already been made. This is Turkish Series Stars, signing off for today. If this story stirred something in you, don't forget to subscribe, drop your thoughts, and share the video with fellow fans who know that behind every headline lives a heartbeat that refuses to be scripted.